Hey everybody, Matt LaPlante here again. Got another video for you. This one is going to be looking both at 2020, what happened there, and what information that we can glean from that to help us look forward at 2021. So let's jump right into 2020. What we're looking at here is really a summation of what happened in 2020. And so if you think about it, think of it kind of like the first half we saw everything on the left, and the second half is everything on the right. So we saw COVID led to lockdowns, unemployment, and then ultimately fear and anxiety. That's what gripped our economy and really drove the stock market down. Was all the fear and uncertainty that we were feeling, and what got us out of it was the stimulus that was passed. That stimulus that was passed led to people being employed or re-employed, and ultimately is what built up that optimism for the future, because things aren't fully back to normal, but the stock market is at record highs, or was recently at record highs, which is really not based on everything in the economy, because the beginning of the year, the economy was stronger and better than it is now. And so what we're seeing is that ultimately the stock market is saying it's very optimistic for the future. And so if you look at, if you've been with me for a while and been watching my videos, the investor psychology cycle is something I've discussed in previous videos. And what I really want to focus on is this point of maximum opportunity, because we really came down this backside and experienced this in 2020, which was very quickly. But focus on this point of maximum opportunity, because it can also be the point of maximum risk for some people. So when we come back to 2020, if you go back and watch my video, Take a Bow, I discussed this, is that this point of fear, of maximum fear and uncertainty. So when we felt the most uneasy about what was going on, that's usually the best time to be an investor. Now, unfortunately, in 2020, and this happens pretty much every time, we saw a lot of investors sell out. So I talk about that in more detail in my previous video, Take a Bow, but I want to focus on this, is that optimism for the future can't just be optimism. In 2021, one of the big things we want to focus on is making that optimism, or will that optimism become a reality? Because in order for the stock market to continue to go higher, it can't just be, I think it's going to get better, I think it's going to get better. We need to actually see the economy get significantly better, companies get better, consumers get better, all of those things. So going into 2021, there's a few things that I believe we need to keep an eye on to determine if that optimism is going to become a reality. Because if it becomes a reality, 2021 could be a very, very good year. There's a lot of things that are lining up that 2021 could be a very good year for the economy and stock market. And so the first, there's these two items that are really connected at the hip. I would say the first one is stimulus. So the stimulus that's been passed and consumers have it and businesses have it now, it hasn't really been deployed. It's kind of sitting on the sidelines. So what we want to see are consumers going out and spending more, and they're spending a lot now, but spending it on more the enjoyment aspects of their life. Plus, we want to see companies investing that money in new technology or new software, that kind of thing. Just investing in the company and spending that money so that it gets back into the economy and really get the engines moving. The other one that I would say is going to be important, it's related to that, is the vaccine. So the vaccine, there's a lot of potential. People are looking at like, oh, this could be very good and very useful, and will unlock a lot of issues with the fear and uncertainty. Those two things are married. So if we can get the vaccine is a reality, and it does reduce people's fear and anxiety, plus we have the stimulus go in, that's a good recipe for the economy in 2021. On the stimulus front, there may even be more stimulus. So we'll see what happens with all of this, but we may get more stimulus, which would be more fuel to the fire that would help 2021. And then last but not least is companies. We need to see companies continue to grow. From 2019 to 2020, we really didn't see companies grow. They kind of lost a little step. But the reason why the stock market is up because they're looking forward at 2021 and saying there's a lot of optimism. So we need to get that reality of the companies actually growing and seeing better profitability numbers, just better numbers overall. We need to see that because stimulus being deployed, vaccines, companies growing, that means the reality of our economy is very strong and growing, and ultimately will probably be good for the stock market. Now, if you look back at 2020, had a drought of optimism. So we started to get some of it, but this would really help. These things would really help not just optimism get better for the future, but the reality on the ground. So we need to get that spark of reality in the economy in order for the economy, for the stock market to continue to push new highs. So there's three areas that I would say that we want to focus on. I'll start with the first two that are the most likely, and the third one is a toss up. But the first one is home builders. So home builders, if you've been following my social media, whether it's my business Facebook page or LinkedIn page, I've been talking about this as well as in videos about the home builder sector. And the home builder sector has just been doing phenomenally well. We see more people moving from city to suburb or suburb to rural. So they're buying homes to move, or they're buying a new home, they're building a new home. They're all of those things. So the home builders have just done phenomenal. Add into the fact that we have low interest rates. It's the perfect storm for them. And I believe that is going to continue because interest rates are remaining low. I don't see those going up in the near future. And I don't see people deciding to all of a sudden move the other direction from rural to suburb, from suburb to city. We're going the opposite. And so I think that story is going to continue. And so as a result, the home builders are really going to prop up the economy as they really, in 2020, they've been a huge help to the economy coming out of what it was at the bottoms. So the second one deals more with healthcare. And that may seem like a no-brainer because of all the COVID and everything, but it's not really COVID related. What I'm talking about are the ancillary, the surprises that we're going to get. Is that a lot of times when we focus, when I say we as an economy or really the world focuses on a problem or an issue, we throw a lot of money and time and resources into that, and we have all these ideas on how to fix it, or things are created or determined, and this thing doesn't help solve this issue. But when we swing back around and look at those things that we were trying, we determine that those ideas or those things that we created are very useful for other things that may be related. And so I think we're probably going to see some very unexpected things that come out of this where we threw this thing in the trash. We don't need this for COVID, but somebody else is going to pull that out and go, you know what, this is going to be very helpful for some other aspect of healthcare. I think that there's going to be a lot of benefit in that area. And then the last one will be the question mark is more dealing with infrastructure and will the government do something from an infrastructure standpoint, which there seems to be a lot of people that would like to do that on both sides of the aisle. And so while I'm not necessarily just talking about roads and bridges, I'm talking about that is important, but more on the informational roads and bridges. So as I mentioned, people are moving from cities to suburbs to rural is essentially what they're doing. We need that information we need to be able to access that information and do whatever it is that we were looking to do from wherever we're at. And so whether it's the 5G internet, or I'm sorry, for your cell phone or whatever, or the thicker, better pipelines, or what is it, Starlink, where you can be anywhere in the world and access this satellite to get your data. All of those things, I think there's a good chance we could see some movement in those areas because, as I mentioned, everyone's moving further away and they're moving to places wherever they want to be. we have the desire to access information no matter where we're at, and it's never been higher. I think that there's a good chance that we'll see that ball continue to move in 2021. So I see a lot of very positive things. I see a lot of I'm optimistic along with a lot of other people on 2021. The only issue that I would say is that we need to keep an eye on is what I mentioned. We need to see that the stimulus is deployed. If we see any of these things not happen or go very slowly, it will probably have, it doesn't mean 2021 will be a negative year, it just means it won't be as positive of a year as it could be. So if stimulus isn't deployed quite as quickly, companies aren't really growing, they're still struggling to find their footing, and then if there's some issue with the vaccine. But I'm optimistic. I see a lot of very good things, and I don't see any of that being a major issue that slows things down. I think 2021 could be a banner year. Thanks. I'll see you guys next time.